Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Pretty Fabulous podcast. I'm so excited because today we have Michelle Rohr with us. Michelle.
Hello. Is my mic okay? Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Okay.
And is it Rohr?
Yes.
That is such a good, power name.
Yeah. It's German.
Oh, it is? Oh, that's fine. My last name is German, too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'm not German, though. I'm adopted. So I guess my family's German. So I guess let's start there. It's a German last name, but you didn't move to Germany. You're in Portugal.
Yeah. So my husband and I and my two young boys moved to Portugal in January 2023. And we just really wanted to live in Europe, we realized. And Portugal was one of the easiest places to get a visa to move to. And for me, it was amazing that it was one of the most safest places in the world to live.
Huh.
So for those reasons, we found ourselves here.
It just has really low crime stats. Is that what it is, or it's just a strong
Yeah.
community? Huh.
Hmm.
Yeah, I never knew that. Awesome. And so far, so good. Love it.
Love it. Everything's awesome. Hold on. I just realized my mic isn't even plugged in properly. Okay, hold on.
I mean, that's weird because I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, but can you hear me better now? Or the
No,
same?
it sounds the same,
Okay,
but it
forget
was
it.
good before. So it's good before.
Okay.
It's good now. But yeah, okay. So just to give everyone some context. So the reason Michelle was invited to come here, and I'm so glad she accepted, is because I create templates. And I usually create templates because I see templates and I don't really like it. And I'm like, oh, I could make something better. But I saw Michelle's templates, and it was the first time literally ever I bought a template. And I was like, oh my God, everything she makes is so pretty. And I haven't had that feeling in a long time. So that's why I was super excited that you're here. So I guess tell them a little bit background about your business, Secret Owl Society, and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, I started the Secret Owl Society over 10 years ago. It was not meant to be a business at first. It was something I started to share my personal development journey. I had lived the same year twice. It was a really mediocre year. And I just had this commitment of I want every year to be 10 times better than the last. And I want to take 100% responsibility for my life. I somehow knew that if I was going to change my life, I needed to take 100% responsibility. And every year I get more acquainted with what that really means. It doesn't mean taking responsibility for other people's lives, which is what I realized I had a problem with. It doesn't mean taking 99% here and 1% there. It's like 100% your life, every area. So that's quite a commitment, and it's been quite a journey. And I share that journey on Secret Owl Society. And that has evolved into making things that just help women be more creative, be more invested in their own lives, their goals, their dreams. I made a planner to help me take responsibility for my life. That turned into something I was selling on Etsy, which turned into teaching other people how to make their planners, which turned into teaching personal development, and on and on and on. I have made dozens of courses, and at this point, the business has made over $1 million, and it's an amazing community. I just make whatever I want. It's amazing. You can make a business where you just get to make pretty things and sell them. So that is the Secret Owl Society in a nutshell.
Awesome. And so I found you. I can't remember. I think maybe it was the first thing I bought was the pretty email kit. And then I don't even know, you came out with other things. I'm like, I just need it. So I'm not really sure. Give everyone a lay of the land. Like, what courses are there? Because you kind of which I love. I do that too. I just make things because I want to. And if you buy it, great. And if you don't, whatever, right? So I guess if someone just found you, what courses are for who? Where do they overlap? Like, what's their best value to purchase or whatever?
Well, the most popular course currently is the Digital Planner Template Kit, where people can take a pre-made template that I've already used and sold successfully in my own business, and I've turned that into a template that other people can use to make and sell their own digital planners. That's the most popular one. A lot of people start there. But if I were to divide my products into categories, I have courses for planners, courses for personal growth and courses for business growth. And like I said, I've made dozens of courses, so it would probably be too much of a mouthful to try to go through all of them. But my favorite program is my personal development slash business program called Say Yes to Desire, where I teach women how I approach business, which is very counter to a lot of the traditional advice. Like I don't worry about niching down. I don't worry about who is my customer avatar. I don't worry about what are your customers' pain points. It's really about what are your desires and focusing on yourself and then being able to create from a state of overflow. And yeah, so if you really want to start somewhere easy, the Digital Planner Template Kit is the popular place. If you really want to start in the heart of what I'm all about, it's Say Yes to Desire.
Okay. And so are if you join Say Yes to Desire, do you get other products already? Is that included inside there?
It has a couple of other products in there. The Piece of Cake podcast, where I teach people not just how to technically start a podcast, but that inner journey of being really comfortable using your voice and having an opinion and pressing publish. And then I have another course in CS to Desire called The Abundance Adventure, which is 30 days of just basking in a more lighthearted approach to money.
Mhm.
So yeah, it has a couple of other courses in there, and I'm always adding things to it. It's just like whatever I make, whatever I desire, and I can put it in there or sell it separately. It's just the playground.
Yeah. And I love your magazine too. It's like, oh, this is such a cute idea. And I thought too, I was like, this must be a lot of work, right? Putting a magazine together.
Well, it is, but I've been doing graphic design almost every day for the last 10 years, so it's really second nature. And I work entirely in Canva. And Canva is so easy to use, where very easily you can get like hundreds and hundreds of projects going in Canva. And I just copy and paste things into the magazine that I might be like working on a pretty email kit and making all the graphics for that over here, but then I can just copy and paste those graphics into the magazine. And now I have a whole spread about the product and I can promote it there. Like it's just a place where I can pull everything I've made into the magazine. I'm constantly repurposing things. Like that is my secret. I'm not just like, oh, I need to make a brand new thing from scratch. I'll like go to a blog post I wrote and pull it into the magazine. I'll go to a product I made and pull those graphics into the magazine. So it's just something when I feel inspired to work on the magazine, I just have it in the background and I pull things in and then organize it, publish it. Plus, the only thing that would make it hard is if I was trying to stick to a schedule and like publish a magazine every month. But I literally just make it whenever I feel like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that too because I was like, oh, I think about even like the newsletter. I'm like, oh, it's just such of like a grind then to put it out, and you don't really feel inspired to like make things
Mm-hmm.
pretty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything I do is literally when I feel like doing it. I don't have a schedule for anything. Not my podcast, not my newsletter, not my magazine, not my blog posts. Everything is just what do I feel like doing today?
Hmm.
And that's a really magical energy to tap into because I believe that when you're doing what you feel like doing, your your productivity just becomes a superpower because I feel like I end up getting way more work done in less time when I'm doing what I feel like doing. Now, of course, there are things that I don't feel like doing this, but I have to get it done. Yeah, you have to schedule that in and force yourself to get it done. But I always look at ways that I can make those things more enjoyable because there's just something really magical about bringing the joy and the intuitive energy to a task that you're doing. So I never try to force myself to just stick to a schedule across the board. I'm always looking for ways to make it feel like it's spontaneous or at least how can we make this really fun?
Hmm. Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have what advice do you give women though that are kind of just joined you, just found you? They have a day job they don't like. They have all these things they want to do, but they're just not profitable yet.
Um, well, if I was in that position of I had a day job, I had a lot of things I wanted to do, which I was in that position, I would use my cracks of time to do whatever I felt like doing. Because, same thing, if you don't have a lot of time and you have a job, you have a family, you got to get food on the table, I would use those cracks of time to really honor desire. Like, what do I really feel like doing? Because that is going to multiply your energy and your productivity. Now, there is a balance to this because if you have a lot of inner work to do and a lot of healing to do around, oh, I'm not good enough, or it has to be perfect, or I just don't trust myself, then that will just always be working against you and causing a lot of resistance. And you won't be able to access that part of you that's just creative and I just want to make something that's fun and I'm saying yes to my desires. Like, me being in this place of being able to tap into that came through lots of healing around putting myself last. And we all have these like negative patterns that if we don't address that, no matter what you do, no matter how much money you make, that's going to drag you back and hold you down. So it is a balance between doing the inner work and, okay, what do I feel like doing? What feels good? Because as you do that inner work, you're going to expand what feels good. So maybe right now you don't feel like you want to like have a podcast or a YouTube show, or you even resist the idea of having an email newsletter. Like, who's going to want to read my newsletter? Um, So as you're doing the inner work, you're going to start to open yourself up to what you're capable of. Because there was once upon a time, I didn't think I would do a podcast. I didn't think I had anything to say. I didn't think anyone would want to listen. But that was just my pattern of putting myself last and being really small. And as I healed that, I'm like, I can talk into a mic and say whatever I want and press publish. And that's a superpower, because if I were to start from scratch, I know that at minimum, I can start a podcast, say whatever I want, promote something at the end, and press publish. And that is pretty much how I do my podcast today. I don't always promote something. I literally just, whenever I have an idea that I want to talk about, I tell my husband, hey, I'm going to go make a quick podcast. I sit down, I just riff for however many minutes, and then I publish it right away. I don't do any editing. I don't do any planning. I don't do any scheduling. And that's really powerful because there's nothing more powerful than people hearing the sound of your voice and being able to really tap into who you are and how you think and what your opinions are. And I really believe, and that's why I made a course about podcasting, because if women can get to that magic and not be hiding behind a product that they put up on Etsy and not be hiding behind a really grainy photo on their About Me page where they're not really talking about themselves and they're not really showing themselves. Like, I see all of these ways in which women are just hiding behind their business, hiding behind their blog, hiding behind their product. And the podcast forces you to come out of hiding. And the more you come out of hiding, the more you'll connect with people. The more you connect with people, the more they will become a true fan and buy from you. So if you want to cut through the clutter and get to that point of creating customers and true fans and people who will open your email, I would say start a podcast.
Okay.
Plus, you can do that anywhere. You can 5 minutes. But what does it take to be able to sit down and have something that you can publish in 5 minutes? It takes self-trust. It takes letting go of perfectionism. It takes believing that you're enough. It takes believing that you have something to say. So it's inner work. It's a balance.
And podcasts. So that's interesting. So I'm definitely a YouTuber who, as a secondary thought, I upload to a podcast because I know people like listening to different formats. You're a podcaster who you're not even on social media. So tell me, and you did Pinterest. So tell me like how you chose which platforms to be present on and show up for.
I just go where it feels good. So once upon a time, I was on Facebook and Instagram, and at first Instagram felt good. I'd used Facebook to host Facebook groups. At first, that was kind of scary, and I had a practice where if it's scary, I'm going to do it because the objective is personal growth. Do things you're afraid to do. That's the fastest way to grow. But after a while, even though I was getting a lot of results on those platforms, like I could make a post in my Facebook group and make hundreds of dollars, and those groups were just for customers, and I had thousands of people in there. I got to a point where I realized this is not my desire. I can feel that the bigger version of me is someone who has quit these platforms. And that was really scary because I felt like, oh my gosh, people love these groups, and like my pattern of putting myself last was kicking in. But that's why I knew I had to do it. Like the thing that was propping up these groups was my pattern of putting myself last, and I knew that the best business that I can possibly make is going to come from the version of myself who puts herself first. So I closed Facebook and Instagram to put myself first, and I only continued to make more money from an even more aligned place that felt even better. Pinterest really worked well for me. It still works well. And it's amazing that it works well because of pins I pinned years and years ago. So my number one driver of traffic to my website is Pinterest. And it's not because I'm pinning every day. It's because I pinned pins years ago that are still driving traffic. And
Wow.
I'm starting to get more into Pinterest again just by making sure that my blog post images are Pinterest friendly and just le- letting that machine keep churning because it's really important to know the difference between a platform that is a search engine and a platform that is just social media. A search engine platform has the power to drive traffic from content you created years ago. Facebook and Instagram is based on, you got to be on that hamster wheel creating content every single day. I'm not going to get traffic from a post on Instagram that's 3 years old. However, I'm getting traffic from pins on Pinterest that are 5, 6, 7 years old. And YouTube is the same thing. YouTube is a search engine. I have old videos on there still driving traffic. Podcasting can be a search engine. People find me through my podcast. Like I made a podcast episode several years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, about quitting social media. Someone's on the podcasting platform looking for episodes about quitting social media. I pop up, they come listen to my thing, and then they go buy my product. That is the beauty of tapping into search engine platforms, which is what I do.
That's so awesome. I mean, I was totally inspired when I read she quit social media. I was like, yeah, why not? Like, so the big fear though that I think a lot of people have is, did it hurt your business when you quit Facebook and Instagram?
No, because I had all those people on an email list.
Mm.
So, email marketing is where it's at.
What platform do you use? Your tech?
I use Flowdesk. I've used every platform out there: ConvertKit, MailerLite, MadMeMe, Mailchimp. But I really love Flowdesk because it is just intuitive and easy to use, and I really love sending beautiful, beautiful emails. And Flowdesk is great for that.
Yeah. And it doesn't charge you as your email list grows, which I think is the best part, right?
That's the other thing. Like I remember paying $80 a month for Mailchimp toward the beginning of my business, and the more my list grew, the more I paid. And I love Flowdesk because it's a flat rate. So even if I had 1 million people on there, they would charge me the same price.
Yeah, exactly. So let's just talk a little bit more about Mr. Rohr. And does he work in the business, or like, does he support you? Like, how does that dynamic work?
Well, he's still Mr. Pelayo. I haven't changed my name yet, not
Oh,
for any
okay.
reason other than I'm lazy. But so Miguel Pelayo, he's my husband, and we would talk now and then about, okay, what can you do in the business? So he comes in and out to do things that are like really admin type tasks that I don't want to do. Like, here's a CSV spreadsheet, and I need this to be here and that to be there. Like, just little things like that, but nothing on a consistent basis. I'm really a one woman show, and that is very intentional. I've tried to go the route of, oh, you need to hire a team, you need this, you need that, and um, I just realized that if you are growing your business from a place of a pattern,
Mhm.
then you could do all the right things, but it's not going to feel right. So when I really looked at the things that I was delegating to people on my team, I realized that the reason I was delegating something was because I didn't want to do it. And the reason I didn't want to do it was because I had put something in place that was really coming from a pattern of putting myself last. So if I really addressed that pattern, I would never have put that thing in my business and I would never have needed to delegate it. So I just really keep coming back to, how am I creating this business from a place of putting myself first? And the more I do that, the more I realize I don't need to delegate anything other than I have an accountant. She helps me with all the bookkeeping. But other than that, I don't need anyone to help me with anything because I'm not doing things that I don't want to do.
Mhm.
And putting yourself first is a big thing that I teach. It's something that women have a lot of fear around. And because we run away from it, we're really giving a lot of power away. Putting yourself first is going to connect you with your power because you cannot keep giving, 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 which is what we do in business. We serve our audience and we sacrifice ourselves. We just, carry on that narrative that we're all used to. But everything changes when you put yourself first. It's not that you put yourself first and then you put other people last. It's you put yourself first and now everyone can come first. There's a quote that I love that says, when you put yourself first, we all get to come first. And I just have realized the more I put myself first, the more I can see everything through this lens of clarity versus through this lens of patriarchy or a negative pattern or trauma. It's just the lens that really helps me build a healthy business that feels aligned and feels good and doesn't require a team.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I think a lot of people build those teams, and it's almost like a badge of honor to say you have this big staff. But until you have them, you don't really, it's a lot of work and it's draining.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I love
And
that.
it costs money. And what else can you do with that money? I found out I could invest that money.
Yeah.
And so, like, oh, we hear all the time, if you want to scale your business, grow a team. And I'm like, you know what? If you want to scale your business, invest your money and
Yes,
let that scale.
exactly.
Yeah. So I had to unlearn a lot of things and learn my own way of doing things. And it's just we all have to just really listen to that inner voice because you're going to hear a lot of advice and a lot of things that work for other people, but you have to keep listening to your own inner voice.
And let's talk a little too about you are not always solo, you have joint ventures. And I guess talk about that model and how that works and how you partner with people.
Yeah, so I use Thrivecart for my payment processing and affiliates and joint ventures. And it really makes it easy to set up a product as a joint venture between two or multiple people.
Oh,
So
okay.
when I create a product with somebody, I can easily go into Thrivecart and say, hey, Thrivecart, this product is created by me and this other person. And when we make a sale, I want them to get this percent and I want me to get this percent. And
Mm,
that's all it is. So whenever I feel like inspired to create something with someone, it's super easy to set that up in Thrivecart. Like the pretty email kit that you bought, I made that with Maria Alejandra. And I think I did that. I set that up in January 2023. And I just love Maria has been a student of mine for a long time, and I just loved her style and her emails. And I also just I just knew like we could create a really pretty email kit together. And it's fun working with your friends sometimes. I don't recommend doing that all the time with every product. You need to be judicious. I didn't start doing joint venture products until I was like six figures into my business. So it's not something that I would recommend to somebody who's just starting out because you need to, you don't want to muddy the waters with an added layer of complexity
mhm.
because working with other people in that capacity can be complex if you don't already have some business savviness. For example, if you're not confident in your own ability to have a successful business that you have created by yourself, then you could easily be like, oh, well, I'm not really good at this. So I need this other person. And together we can make money because alone I won't be able to do it. Don't start a joint venture from that energy. Like you have to really clean up your energy, do a lot of inner work to be able to work with other people in a healthy way.
I think that's so like insightful because a lot of people start things and they think, well, I have half of the equation here. My friend has the other half here. This other person has an audience, and the three of us, or four, or whatever, or two of us will then get together and make a super product. But you're right. You should just kind of
Mm-hmm.
not start from that. Otherwise, people, somebody doesn't show up, somebody doesn't do what you thought they would do, and then it ends up ruining friendships too.
It's like a marriage. Like I've only worked joint venture products with people who have already had successful business experience, and I like that's important. It's not, oh, I'm one half of the equation and you're the other half. It's I'm one whole woman successful business and you're the another one whole woman successful business, and together that is a healthy outcome.
Yeah, it's a true collaboration of
Hmm.
two sets of talents versus
Hmm.
trying to piece together half and half.
Exactly.
Yeah, awesome. And so do you have any more joint ventures you have planned for this year, or what are your plans, I guess, for 2024?
I don't have anything planned. I literally when I have come up with joint venture products, it's like that. It's not something I've ever planned ahead of time. It was always an intuitive hit, and I have a lot of experience knowing when something is coming from my intuition, so I can truly trust it. But as of right now, I don't have anything planned around joint ventures. I just see this year being about continuing to host calls for my Say Yes to Desire community. We do something called tea party calls, and I love those. And I see myself making what I'm calling popcorn products, where it's literally just a quick and easy, beautiful, pretty thing I put together. Like the last one I did was the blog post template kit, and I keep the price low on those. It's just something fun. And I So it's like snacks. That's why I call it a popcorn product. It's like a snack. And I see myself updating products I've already made. And I know that the women in my CS to Desire community really want to do a meetup. And so I'm going to probably host a meetup next year and kind of put the pieces together in the planning for that this year.
Okay, awesome. And let's go a little bit more into your background because I don't think people know, like, even before say yes to desire, the secret owl, you've always been an entrepreneur, right? Just starting businesses and just having ideas and acting on it, right?
Yes, well, the earliest one was just babysitting, and then having a cleaning company, and then doing even more babysitting, like hiring my friends, or not hiring my friends, but collaborating with my friends to do house cleaning and babysitting. And the house cleaning thing was really a way and babysitting was really a way for me to just give myself a window of nobody bother me. I'm listening to my podcast.
Mm,
So
okay.
when I'd be babysitting and the kid was napping, I would be like on a Pinterest webinar. When I would be cleaning somebody's house, I'd be listening to podcast after podcast after podcast. Because during that time, I was building Secret Owl Society in my cracks of time and at night. And I just turned those other businesses as a way to pay my bills and have my own personally designed entrepreneur university experience. And so I learned a lot about just managing things and putting myself out there, picking up the phone and saying, hey, I have this service. Would you like to hire me? Or like, I literally have so much experience selling to people because it like when I started my cleaning company, I had to call people up and and ask them if they wanted a cleaner.
Mhm.
Like, so I don't have this fear around selling in the online space. I detoxed that a long time ago. So in comparison, I feel like having an online business is so easy. It's so fun because I'm comparing it to grueling hours of cleaning houses for a living. So this is a piece of cake in comparison.
Yeah, I guess that, I mean, great example of comparison. And also, like, I think I am the polar opposite of you. So I am traditional college. My only goal was to find a job and then get promoted and find a good 401k. So it's a big struggle for me. I mean, I love my business. I'm just very passionate about doing tutorials, right? And that it just so happens that YouTube rewards that. Versus, like, I see you and it just seems more natural into your DNA to just be an entrepreneur? Like, do you see women like me struggling more than people who have more of a background or personality like yours?
You mean like women who have a college background?
Not a college background, the traditional. Like I do feel I still work part-time doing HR and I feel very comfortable in that job. But I really just want to grow my business more. But I just, I resist because my personality is such that I like order and structure and rules, and but I do
Mhm.
love the lifestyle of being able to go anywhere and move to Portugal, right? And do all those things.
Yeah, I think I have an advantage in terms of always being self-taught. Like I didn't go to school for the most part. I was homeschooled and I took over my own schooling at the age of 13. I always knew like I could teach myself. I don't need someone else to tell me what to do, which is very handy in entrepreneurship. I did do a semester in college, and even then, I was like, you know what? This doesn't really make sense. We're paying a lot of money for something that could be taught online, and we're all learning the same things instead of creating our own pathway. And so I always had this lens that I guess you could call the entrepreneur lens of looking at education, the world, money, structure. And it's also a lens of intuition and feminine energy because it's not that like I'm like I can sound really woo woo, like pay attention to your inner work and follow your intuition, but I'm very organized, very structured. Like if you see my Notion account for project management, it is off the wall. It is just I track everything. Everything has its place. Same thing with my home. I love being organized, but I do it through a feminine approach, not like this masculine, it has to be this way and I'm going to fit myself into the system. I see myself as bigger than all of it. I think that that truly is a superpower because when I went to college, I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, the almighty college, they're going to help me succeed
Mhm.
in life. I saw myself as bigger than it. And when I saw that it wasn't serving me, I was like, okay, this isn't going to work. Um, so everything I do in my business, I see myself as bigger than it. And it's not this ego thing. It's just every human being is so important. And what I see with other people who are so used to like, I gotta follow the track, I gotta do what I'm told, I gotta, you know, you know, fit myself into this mold, they're acting like they're the ant and
Mhm.
not the big kid in the playground that gets to do whatever they want. And I think that to really ground yourself in the approach that is going to serve you best, you got to stop thinking of yourself as this little ant and start seeing yourself as this free spirited child jumping around and playing and doing whatever she wants and building castles and having fun. And so when you're coming from that energy,
Mhm.
you're not going to try to fit yourself into something that doesn't feel good. So that is such a powerful lens as an entrepreneur because it's going to guide you to the most aligned, profitable, wealthy business ever because the wealthiest version of you is the most aligned version of you. So if you're on Facebook and you're like, oh, I hate Facebook, but everyone tells me I should use it, and da, 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 that's the ant talking. The big, beautiful inner child is like, I don't want to play here. Let's go somewhere else. And that is where you can really make entrepreneurship work for you because what is entrepreneurship? It is your ticket to do things your way. It's not a place for you to recreate the corporate world. It's where you get to do whatever you want to do.
Hmm. Do you ever have FOMO about returning to social media platforms or
No,
no, or
no,
jumping on
never.
TikTok or something or anything?
I only think I'm glad I left.
Okay. And I guess as a consumer of content, do you still consume content on those platforms?
No, I don't use TikTok. I will pop into Instagram if am on someone's website and I can tell they have something on Instagram that I want to see, but I don't have an account. I don't go on. I only just started going back on Facebook because I joined a course and Facebook group is in
Oh,
there, and that's the only reason I go back. But other than that, there's no desire to go in there. I don't. I I just don't. But I do love YouTube because I can listen to long form videos and learn a lot of stuff, and I do that all the day, all day, every day.
and are you more of a YouTube consumer of content, or you said you love podcasts too? Do you do both equally?
I do YouTube because the podcasts I listen to are also on YouTube anyway, and it's just easier.
Got
Yeah.
it. Awesome. And so, if people want to connect with you this year and offline, where can they find you?
You can find me at secretowlsociety.org.
Okay. And social media, it is a no. So, if they want to connect with you, they should join your mailing list, right?
Yes, that's the best way. If you go to secretowlsociety.org, you will see loud and clear on the homepage, join my newsletter. And I send it out about once a week. It's a beautiful newsletter for people who love planners, passive income, and personal development.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on and sharing so much of your awesome knowledge.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I'll leave all of your contact information below if you're watching this and you want to catch up with Michelle. All right.